Good morning, traders. I'm Emily Bonney, the CEO of the Investment Banking Institute and your host here at NewsWare's Trade Talk. Joining me is trading anchor Bill Olson, who brings more than 30 years of institutional trading experience to our program. At Trade Talk, we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Today is Thursday, March 28th. We head into the final day of trading ahead of tomorrow's holiday after markets made a big jump to end in the green yesterday. Following another relatively stable session, stocks shot up higher to close sharply in the green. The Dow added 477 points, or 1.22%. The S&P 500 advanced 0.86%, and the Nasdaq popped 0.5%. Bill, let's get into today's action with what is happening in the markets this morning.
Hi, yes. Good morning, Emily. I'm watching the S&Ps. The S&Ps are down 0.05%. They're flat. This is kind of be expected ahead of a long holiday weekend. Especially, it's also expected ahead of a PCE report, which is coming out tomorrow rather than when the markets are closed. So it's a little unusual, but they are trading slightly lower. So we'll have to see what that brings when the market does open. Couple of good economic reports coming out today. You heard from Fed Governor Christopher Waller last night after the bell. He spoke last night, and he reiterated the same comments before that the Fed can take its time in lowering interest rates. He's very clear. There's no rush to lower interest rates. That's was the title of his last two speeches. Another important event is S&P Global Ratings. They reaffirmed the AA plus rating for the U.S. for the credit rating on the U.S. It's positive. I mean, they did drop it from AAA to AA plus a couple years back, and that really caused a shockwave in the markets. But they are saying, listen, it's we're reaffirming the AA plus, which is positive. We're looking we're looking overseas action at the DAX in Germany. It's up 22 points, or 0.12%. We're looking at the FTSE, it's up 20 points, or 0.26%. We're looking at the CAC, it's up 20 points, or 0.25%. The couple of things out in Germany, the retail sales data in Germany fell 1.9% from January. Expectations were for an increase of 0.3%. So that's not really positive, but the market's okay. In the UK, the GDP fell by 0.3% after a 0.1% drop in the third quarter. We're looking last night in Asia, and Asia was mixed essentially. But the Nikkei in Japan really fell. I mean, it dropped 1.46%, or 594 points. And the reason why is because the market's really been getting a lot of strength due to the currency. The currency's been getting really weak. The Japanese yen, the depreciation of the yen is such a problem that central bankers are now talking about taking action against this recent depreciation. So if that happens, you're going to see equities in Japan move lower. Right now, they're benefiting from the weak yen. Then you look over at Hong Kong. Hong Kong jumped 148 points, or 0.9%. The Shanghai markets jumped 17.5 points. So that's about 0.6%. President Xi met with the CEOs of Qualcomm and Broadcom yesterday. He was positive on continuing relationships with these firms. It was all nice, and you did see tech stocks move higher in Hong Kong and China overnight. Now we're keeping an eye on oil. Oil is trading up. It's up over 1% this morning. It's up 1.34%. You got WTI at $82.44. You got Brent at $87.24. Okay, we had the build yesterday in the EIA oil stockpiles report. It wasn't nearly anything like the API report, but it was still a build. And it was bigger than the expectations. But right now, the market's kind of looking forward. There's an OPEC meeting of ministers next week, and so there's a lot of supply talk on the table, and that's really why you're seeing these gains in oil happening this morning. But that's what I have for you in terms of morning markets update report, Emily.
Bill, markets are looking forward, and so are you throughout this trading day, gathering the information you need. I mentioned it yesterday. It seems like everybody else is slowing down, but not here on NewsWare's Trade Talk. We're still gathering the information you need for the trading day ahead. And even, you gave us some previews for next week. And as you mentioned, that PCE report due out tomorrow when markets are closed. But we're going to make sure to get through all the details of today throughout the show, starting first with earnings action. Bill, what is going on there?
Well, we had a number of earnings that come out last night. We have Miller Knoll, ticker MLKN, Michael, Larry, Kilo, Nancy. They beat by 1 cent, but it was done on lower revenue. That stock's down over 16% this morning. Then we have HB Fuller, that's ticker FUL, Frank, Uncle Larry. They beat by 3 cents, but again, that was done on lower revenue. That stock's down 3%. Braves, BRZE, they beat by a penny on higher revenue. Stocks trading a little lower this morning. Yeah, Jeffries, ticker JEF, John Edward Frank. They beat by 12 cents on higher revenue. That stock's up about 0.5% this morning. Upcoming, there's nothing tomorrow because the markets are closed. There's nothing this afternoon. But Monday afternoon, PVH, they own a lot of clothing retailers. They're going to be releasing earnings on Monday afternoon. Their EPS is $3.50. Expected move is 10.24% when they release, Emily.
And Bill, you did mention Braze in there. That was indeed your pick of the day yesterday. And by the end of the show, we're going to check in on how that went. So stick with us. Now we're going to get to the day's economic events, a number of notable reports, again, ahead of that PCE report tomorrow. So give us a rundown of the day's economic events.
Okay, well, let's talk at 8:30 a.m. Eastern time. We have the GDP revisions coming out. We also have jobless claims. At 9:45, we have the Chicago PMI figures, and then at 10 a.m. we get pending home sales. Tomorrow we get the PCE report. That's going to be released at 8:30 a.m. The reading is expected to climb on a monthly basis, but stay at 2.8% on a yearly basis. Then you have some interesting Fed speak tomorrow. You have San Francisco Fed Bank President Mary Daly. She's speaking at 11:15. And Jerome Powell, Fed Bank Chairman Jerome Powell, will be speaking at 11:30 p.m. No one's really expecting anything significant to come from Powell when he speaks tomorrow. He'll probably continue the same type of comments that he has been, reiterating that the inflation is coming down and it's just taking time. But that's what I have for you in terms of an economic update, Emily.
Bill, watching all of that and other market moving news using your NewsWare, breaking it down into alerts so you can gather all this information quickly. Or an off day like tomorrow, you're going to still be watching that information because you can gather it quickly with those alerts. You're looking at things like merger news, guidance news, shareholders meetings, buyback news, and other catalysts. You're looking at stocks grouped together like your FANG stocks, your Dow 30 stocks. So, Bill, what else do you see is possibly moving the markets today?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm looking at it, doing a data check. I'm looking at my Dow stocks. I show 8 higher, 6 lower, the rest unchanged. Wow, that tells you how slow it is. You're looking at the FANG stocks. They're marginally higher, not significantly, marginally, so they're very directionless. Except for Apple. Apple is trading a little weak, down almost 0.5%. But that's not really indicative of how the stock's going to trade. I think there are other factors behind Apple today. Oil stocks are gaining this morning. Semiconductors remain weak. What else do we see? Casino stocks are showing a little bit of a gain. That's nice to see, ahead of this weekend. But, let's look into some of the news behind the tape in like Apple. President Xi, I said earlier, he met with chip makers of Qualcomm and Broadcom yesterday in Beijing. Tim Cook was also in China, but he curiously didn't attend the gathering. That maybe he wasn't invited. I don't know, but well, that's very unusual. And it's not a good sign for their business in China if he's not invited to a business leaders meeting from the U.S. And Qualcomm and Broadcom are. Amazon, hey, they lost their bid to comply with the DSA rules on online ads. They were trying to delay it. Talking Dow Jones 30 stocks, Johnson & Johnson, ticker J&J. They're getting a new chance to contest the evidence on that telecom bottom lawsuit, which they lost. Disney, ticker DIS. They settled that dispute with Florida Governor Ron DeSantis over the Florida tax district. Walmart, ticker WMT, they said to be refiling the plan on the Vizio deal after having informal talks with the FTC and DOJ. Suck merger news, HD, Home Depot, they're going to be requiring SRS distributors for $18.25 billion. Take-Two Interactive, TTWO, TomTom, William Oscar, they're going to be requiring Gearbox Entertainment for $460 million. In terms of guidance news, Fuller Brush, ticker FUL, they see 2024 revenue coming in 415 to 445, street estimates $4.31. Okay. Miller Knoll, ticker MLKN, Michael Larry Kilo Nancy, they see Q4 adjusted EPS coming in 49 cents to 57 cents, street estimate 68 cents, big downtick. Sprinkler, that's ticker CXM, Charlie X-Ray Mary, they see Q1 adjusted EPS 7 cents, street estimates 9 cents, not good. Shareholders meetings, Jeffrey's having a shareholders meeting at 10 a.m. Buybacks, PRKS, Paul Richard, Kilo Sam, this is United Parks and Resorts. They announced a 500 million share repurchasing program late yesterday. In terms of catalysts, this is kind of interesting because, stocks get added to the S&P 500 typically, trade higher ahead of, being added. But here I got two stocks being added to the S&P 500. That spinoff from 3M, Slovatum, ticker SLOV, Sam, Larry, Oscar, Victor. They're set to join the S&P 500 on April 1st. And GE Veranova, ticker GEV, Grace Edward Victor, they're going to start trading on April 2nd, and they're going to be added to the S&P 500. I mean, that's wow. The day of the day they start trading, they're also going to be added to the S&P 500. Wow, that's quick, and that causes hedge fund managers that didn't need to buy these stocks. So yeah, something to watch. But that's what I have for you in terms of news hitting the tape this morning, Emily.
This is the type of data that Newsware delivers daily. It's factual, it's market moving, and our alerting functions bring it to your attention as it happens. Go to www.newsware.com now and sign up for the trial and see for yourself the benefits that professional Newswire delivers. It is now that time of the show for the Trade Talk pick of the day. Bill, we're headed into a holiday weekend. We're also anticipating that economic data tomorrow. Not the easiest day to be making a pick, but you're going to do it for us anyway. What is your pick of the day today?
Going to go with Occidental Petroleum, ticker OXY, Oscar X-Ray Yellow. I mean, listen, there are no earnings coming out there that are really worth noting that are going to create volatility. So I have to, change gears. And, oil's trading higher. There's no Middle East developments that are likely going to push oil prices lower. You get that OPEC meeting next week, which is, causing oil prices to move a little higher. As a result, I could see Occidental Petroleum deliver a gain today of at least 1%. I'm looking at the call volume, 20,365 calls traded versus 13,182 yesterday. That's positive. Open interest is negative though. 460,853 calls versus 567, 755 puts. That makes me cautious. Major brokers, are doing price up to, raising price targets on the stock. Nice to see. Very cautious here. I mean, I got to get in 63.50. I think there's going to be a little weakness in the morning, so I'll say 63.50. But it depends on when the stock opens. It depends on where the stock opens up at. I think there's be a little more weakness than what we're seeing in the S&Ps this morning, but that could change. Tough day to make a pick, but I'll go with Occidental Petroleum, and my entry price is 63.50. Emily.
We will watch Oxy with you today, Bill, closing out March with Occidental Petroleum. And coming up, we will do that recap on yesterday's pick of the day, as I promised. So stick with us. But ahead of that, let's take a look at the current breaking headlines that have hit the tape in our hot off the press segment. Bill, take it away.
AMC Entertainment, ticker AMC, stocks down 13% after announcing a 250 common stock offering. 250. Ticker LH, LabCorp, to acquire select assets of BioReference for $237 million. Amazon invests $2.75 billion more in that AI startup Anthropic. RH, ticker RH, formerly known as Restoration Hardware. They're forecasting demand growth of 12 to 14% for 2024. Discover, ticker DFS, they announced the resignation of their CEO and a regulatory filing. Remember, they're merging with is it Capital One? Walgreens WBA narrowed its profit forecast for 2024 by citing economic challenges for its retail business, and also took a $5.8 billion impairment charge related to Village MD business. Alaska and Hawaiian Airlines, ALK, airlines have entered into a timing agreement with the DOJ under which they would agree not to consummate the merger before 90 days post the date on which both parties have certified substantial compliance with a second request for antitrust related information. PARA, ticker PARA, Paramount Global, rating agency S&P lowered the company's credit rating to BB plus from BBB minus yesterday. Stiff competition in the streaming landscape puts pressure on the giant. But remember, this could be interesting because they could be bought out at any time. TMUS, Tom, Michael, Uncle Sam, T-Mobile, company won its bid to appeal a judge's ruling that allows for a potential class of millions of Verizon and AT&T subscribers to move ahead with a lawsuit challenging the company's $26 billion purchase of rival Sprint in 2020. Walmart has notified 2 U.S. antitrust agencies that it will withdraw and refile certain review applications for its planned acquisition of Vizio. Okay, yeah, it's the same. That's all I'm seeing this morning, Emily.
Okay, Bill, before we get to trading today and then take our long weekend, let's do that check-in on yesterday's pick of the day, which was Braze. We pointed that out earlier during your earnings report. They did report earnings yesterday, as you told us. They reported an EPS of a loss of 4 cents that was ahead of analyst estimates of a loss of 5 cents. Revenue came in at $131 million, and that was well ahead of analyst estimates of $124.6 million. They did issue revenue guidance for Q1, and that was ahead of analyst estimates. They also issued revenue guidance for the full fiscal year of 2025, which were in line with analyst expectations. You were trading this one ahead of earnings yesterday. Was seeing some green. How did your call work out?
Well, it worked out because, I said, listen, I wanted to get in under 50. The stock opened up at 50 and fell down to 49.50. And, anywhere below 50 was your entry point. And, sure enough, during the day, it ran all the way up to $50.84. So, yeah, there's your winner. There's your 1%. It fell after earnings. Okay. But you know what? We were clear. I'm not likely to hold it into earnings. And sure enough, it was the right move and made money yesterday. So it was a positive day all around, Emily.
Bill, that was another one there. And we will check in with you on Monday about today's Occidental Petroleum pick of the day to see how the month ended up. Remember, markets are closed tomorrow in observance of the Good Friday holiday. Bill, thank you as always for your expert insight. Join us back here Monday and each weekday morning next week at NewsWare's Trade Talk when we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Again, I'm your host, Emily Bonney, here with trading anchor Bill Olson. Traders, you know what to do. Let's go out there and make some green.